Thank you everybody for joining us. I know that nonprofit folk are very busy folks, so it's wonderful to be able to spend an hour with you all together today to talk about a very important topic, fundraising and event planning. Now, I know that for many nonprofits, the fiscal year is coming to an end. So this is the perfect time to plan like a big gala or some kind of drive to make sure you get over the thresholds that you've set, hit your goals, and enter in the next fiscal year as strong and successful as possible. So I'm going to run through some key features that Monday.com can offer for you. A little bit of housekeeping first of all. Like Aretha already said, some people already figured out how to use the captioning and Q&A and chat. I'm joined today by a colleague, Laura, who's going to be helping me out with the questions. The best place for questions, as Aretha said, is the Q&A section. That way we'll try and monitor all the questions, and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions today, but apologies in advance if there are some that remain unanswered. There is actually going to be a separate Q&A session coming up later today, offered exclusively for TechSoup folk. So if you do have more questions about Monday, please keep that in mind, that there is another session that you're welcome to join, and we can go into anything in a bit more depth. So for today's session specifically, what do I have on the agenda? I'll start with a quick introduction about myself and about Laura, who's joining me. Then I'll tell you a little bit more from a high-level point of view, what is Monday.com, if this is anybody's first time looking at it. And then we're going to start from the very beginning, imagining that we are planning our own fundraising gala. We're going to start, of course, everything within Monday.com. Yeah, we're going to start by opening a doc, which is going to be like our planning and brainstorming doc, right? We can share that with our team members. Then we're going to build a project plan. Then we're going to create a registration form. Yes, all of these things we can do in Monday.com. Then we're going to connect that registration form, because everybody who's attending your fundraising gala is a potential donor, right? So we're going to connect it so that automatically, as soon as somebody registers for this event, they're also sent to your donor management solution. I'm also going to show you how you can communicate within Monday.com and a whole lot of other fun tricks, and build reports and dashboards to summarize all of this. And of course, I will show you how you can get all of this completely for free. Monday.com's nonprofit program is pretty amazing. We have already 21,000 active nonprofits. We may even have crossed the 22,000 threshold. We were at 21,900 something yesterday. We're using Monday.com completely for free. You get 10 seats for free on the pro tier, Monday's second highest tier. And that allows you to open an unlimited number of brainstorming documents, an unlimited number of registration forms. You can process an unlimited number of donors, run an unlimited number of projects. All that stuff is completely unlimited on the plan. If you're a bigger team and you need to upgrade and get some more seats, you can do that also with a nice big discount. And there's a special TechSoup link to create your account and to have it join the nonprofit program, which will be pasted in the chat and sent to you in follow-up emails as well. Excuse my cough. All right, so let's jump in to our first point. It's great to meet you. I'm Alex, or Alexander. I'm really passionate about nonprofits. I've been at Monday for about 3 years. But before this, I worked in and around nonprofits in a couple of countries. At Monday, I work exclusively with nonprofits. That's what I do every day. Most of my work is with smaller nonprofits. Like I said, we have 22,000 nonprofits now almost, and most of them are, small to medium in size, but I've also led implementations for some of the bigger brands out there in the nonprofit world. And a fun fact about me, I don't know if anyone else shares this, but I can't stand cilantro or coriander, depending on how you call it in your part of the world. It tastes the same. It's disgusting. I don't know if anyone else wants to bond over this vile herb later on. You are more than welcome to do it with me. So that's enough about me. I'm going to stop talking for a second now. Pass the mic over to my colleague, Laura. Thank you again so much for joining us, Laura, who can introduce herself.
Yeah, hi, everybody. My name is Laura. I used to be a high school English teacher, actually in the Bay Area. I saw somebody was from the Bay Area in the chat, so shout out there. But I also worked at a nonprofit for about a year and a half in the UK before starting at Monday. I've been here for about 10 months. And if you ever reach out in the chat or via email to Monday support, I might be the person to answer your questions. And I guess a fun fact is that I did my master's in the UK in mental health ethics and law. So definitely one of my passions. So happy to answer your questions today.
Thanks, Laura. Cool. I'm finding out new things as well. That's really, really great. And yeah, it's a good point to note that nonprofits also receive this incredible support that Laura and her colleagues offer, day to day, 24/7. You can access free customer support inside the platform, which is pretty amazing. So as well as all those cool features, you're not just kind of left on your own. You also have a lot of different resources that me and my team are providing. And like I said, 24/7, 365, they're the hardest working team in Monday, customer support as well. Okay, so that's enough from us. What about this software we keep talking about? I'm aware that some of you may already know Monday, may already have an account, which is amazing. But if this is anybody's first time even hearing about this software, what the heck is it? In one sentence, it's a cloud-based software where teams can build custom workflows. What's a custom workflow? It's basically any kind of work. No matter what your work is, it could be a volunteering onboarding process or a donor management solution, applying for grants, building an event planning, fundraising gala. Basically, any kind of work can be done on Monday. We have some of the biggest companies in the world paying us, frankly, quite a lot of money, and we have a lot of small nonprofits. Everything in between, different sizes, different industries. There's a space for everyone in Monday.com, and it's a very flexible and customizable platform. I think that's what I hope you'll take out of today's session. I'm actually going to be building absolutely everything that we see today from scratch. I know sometimes when people, when you watch like a video on YouTube or something of Monday, sometimes they make it all look so easy. You click once and everything fits into place. And that's usually the way it is. But in real life, sometimes there are a few more challenges to overcome. But I'm going to be building it all from scratch. So it's real and raw. And if there are any issues, we'll overcome them together. But my motivation for doing that is to show you how many ways there are to do, first of all, the same thing, but also to overcome challenges, right? It is a super flexible solution. So, working with templates are amazing. And working with a template is great, but you don't need to work with it exactly as it came out of the box. You can always make changes, and you can also build something completely from scratch like we're going to do today. So I hope that by the end of today's session, you feel inspired to open your account, you want to join Monday.com's nonprofit program, and that you feel confident you've got tools and you know where resources are to go out there and start working independently straight away. Because you could have your own solution like this time tomorrow for free if you follow the steps. So buckle up and I'll show you what is necessary. All right, so let me come out of that slideshow and into this page here and just make that full screen. Oh, excuse me, I need it to be in my demo workspace. Yeah. All right, so welcome to Monday. This is anybody's first time taking a look at the software. This is how things look. You'll see that I had a couple of different workspaces there. Now, workspaces, it's just like your kind of organizational tool. It's just one level above a folder, but you can help keep things arranged nicely there. You can see I've already done tons of different work here in my workspace. Actually, you know what? Let's create a brand new workspace for this session. I think it's going to be just a bit more clear. So let's start truly from a completely blank slate. This is going to be my fundraising event workspace, completely new. And you can see here, it can be open or closed. By default, basically everything in Monday is going to be like this: open, meaning that all of your team members are able to see it and collaborate in it. So here is my new workspace, completely empty. Now, the first thing I wanted to create inside this workspace, by clicking on this plus, is a doc. And this doc is my fundraising gala brainstorming doc. And again, you can see by default, it's set to main, meaning everyone can see it. But just as well, I can make it a private document, meaning, as the name would suggest, people can't see it. Yeah, excuse me, my friends. Private is great for even for personal things. You can put in your Christmas shopping list here. It's no problem. You have an unlimited number of these, so feel free. You can also make it shareable. Shareable allows you to share this with guests outside of your account. And I will come back and tell you more about guests in just a moment. But for now, I'm just going to make it main. And we'll take a look at how this doc looks. Now, I'd recommend doing this to start any project. It's a good way to get the team members excited. It's a very simple way to start working on Monday.com, because this is really, as the name would suggest, just a doc, right? And it's most simple. If anyone's familiar with working with Microsoft Word or Google Docs, it's basically the same idea. You can put in here ideas for our fundraising gala 2025. Venue ideas, town hall, conference center, international venue, right? These are some of the ideas. Maybe we want to get a guest speaker. Who would be a good guest speaker? Maybe Leonardo DiCaprio would be a nice one. Who else should we hire? I think Oprah would be a great fit for our organization. She's a pretty good speaker. Maybe a Michelle Obama, she could come by. Right, you get the idea. We can put in our ideas here as a team. Now, if I type the @ key, it's going to bring up all the team members that I've already invited to my account. And as I said at the beginning, you get 10 users for free under the nonprofit program. And you would invite those users by coming up here to the top, where it says here, invite members. You can invite those people into your account. I think it's going to say, yeah, my plan is full. I'm on the nonprofit plan and I've already invited 10 users. But I simply put in their email address here and send them an email and they can join my account. If I need to get extra users, that's no problem. You get a 70. Sometimes people mishear my accent and think I'm saying 17. 70% discount on extra users. And another nice trick, I'm sure that everyone working in a nonprofit has a good eye for the word free. You'll see here that there is also the option of adding people as viewers. Now, viewers are read-only, as the name would suggest. They can't make any changes. They can't create new boards or items or anything like that. They can see everything that's open. In the nonprofit context, this is perfect for example, board members. They're not working in your account day to day, but they do want to get an overall idea of what's going on. So viewers are great for that, free and unlimited. So these are the people that I've invited to my account. And this is where, with a simple typing of the @ key, I can tag my colleague, Sarah in this case. Can you please reach out to the above speakers and check who's available? And so on and so on, right? There's a lot more we can do with these docs. I'm really just sort of scraping the surface, but I just wanted to get you an idea that it doesn't have to be a complex project when you get started. You can simply just write ideas down. You'll also notice that when I click on this plus, there are all sorts of other types of blocks, as they're called. We mostly work there with normal text. You can also insert boards from other places. We use this one, the mention people block. But you can also use AI to write text. That's pretty cool. You can insert stuff from external sources, videos and images if you want to reference them. So you can build out a really nice document here to brainstorm your event. But let's imagine that we've made some progress already. We agree that, I don't know, the town hall is the best option for the venue, and Leo is available. Leo's going to be our speaker, which is great news. We're thrilled as a nonprofit to be able to book the town hall and Leonardo DiCaprio. So let's now move to the next phase. Let's start planning our event. So I'm going to add my next element here over on the left-hand side by clicking again on this plus. This time I'm not going to add a doc. I'm going to add a board. Now, boards, they really are your basic unit of currency. Like most times when you're working on Monday, you're going to be working in a board. And you see here, you could start with a template. And in fact, this button would take you to the same place. The template center, generally speaking, is a great place to work. There are, I don't even know, hundreds, certainly 100 of templates here available, again, for free. On the nonprofit plan, there are no limits to the numbers of these templates you can download. You see it's recommending for me stuff pertaining to nonprofits, but there are all these other categories here as well. So, we're looking at managing an event or a project. You can come, for example, to the project management category, and you can take a look at any one of these templates. I actually love using templates, not necessarily to work on exactly as the template was built, but just to get ideas, to see how other people have built stuff, see what features are out there, and maybe steal ideas for my own. And like I said at the beginning of today's session, I'm not going to take the easy route. I'm not going to just download a template and show you how it was built. We're going to go the original way. We're going to build everything from scratch today. So I'm going to add a blank board, and I'm going to call it my fundraising event planner. Here again, I have those same options: main, private, or shareable. And then I can decide what I'm managing in the board. Items is fine for now. And it will create a board for me with a couple of, very basic elements, columns, and some kind of made up items, just to give me a bit of an idea. But as we said earlier, almost everything here is customizable. So at the moment, it's given us two groups, a blue group and a purple group. That might be what we want, but we can also add more groups, or we can easily come to the three dots here and delete groups. You can have one group, or you can have 50 groups. It's completely up to you. For now, let's use those two groups, and we'll kind of keep it fairly simple. Let's imagine that we have, a preparation group. Preparation. Then we have tasks to be completed on the day. So these are the two groups just to keep our tasks organized. And in terms of preparation, we need to decide on venue. Not decided, that wouldn't be a task. We need to confirm guest speaker. And we need to get board approval for event. Now, of course, you can add more items here. Now, there is technically a limit to the number of items you can have, 10,000, but that's really just a technical limit. You can just create another board. There is no limit to the number of boards you can have. So if you do need to have 20,000 items, you can just have one half in one board and another half in another. It's totally fine. So let's leave it at that with these three for now. And then on the day, we need to distribute parking passes. We need to set up catering tables. We need to open fundraising portal. Maybe we'll add one more preparation here because we didn't actually mention the catering, did we? This one would need to be confirm catering company. Great. Now, some of these tasks may be a little bit more complex than others. For example, we discussed a couple of different guest speakers. So I could take advantage here of the sub-items. Sub-items can live beneath any of your items. And here, for example, I could put in the names of our potential speakers. What else did we have? Oh, Michelle Obama. How could I forget Michelle Obama for a moment? Now, you'll notice that the columns here are the same across both of my groups. But within the sub-items, I can have different columns if I want to. So for example, if I, for some reason, don't want to have a date column, I can delete it from here, and it will remove only from the sub-items. The columns in the sub-items are consistent with other sub-items in this group, but they're different from the columns of the overall items. So we said that Sarah was going to be in charge of confirming the guest speaker, right? So using this column, which is the person column, I can assign Sarah that task. And now seeing her picture there does amazing things, right? In terms of ownership of tasks, instead of just sending her an email or seeing her in the office one day and saying, can you please do that? If everyone's working in a board like this, and you can see that this image lives here next to that task, it's very clear that the buck stops with Sarah and that she needs to complete this by a certain date. Now, we know that she already picked Leonardo DiCaprio, so we can mark that as done. And indeed, this task is already done as well. Thanks, Sarah. You're onto it. You completed this task 4 days ago already. Perfect. Maybe I'm in charge of confirming the venue. We also had a whole lot of different options there, but I said the town hall is a good fit, so I'm going to mark that task as done as well. Now, this task is actually pretty serious. If you ask me, getting the board's approval for the event that probably should have been done before we started booking Leonardo DiCaprio in the town hall. So let's ensure that we set up a reminder. I'm going to say that this task is due at the end of the week. But what I'm going to do now is add our first automation to this book. And I'm going to add an automation that's going to let me know when this date arrives, or maybe even a day before this date arrives, to ensure that I am not going to forget this task, because this is pretty serious and maybe he's already a little bit overdue. So first of all, who's the owner? I don't know, maybe myself. I'm working on this. I'm going to contact all the board members. And how do we make sure that we see this date really, really clearly? So there's a couple of options. In fact, before I talk about automations, let me show you one more nice little trick. In any one of these columns, you have these 3 dots which appear when you hover up in the corner. And by clicking on them, you open up all these different options about that specific column. So this is obviously a date column. And when I come to the settings, I'm going to see a couple of things which are unique to the date column, right? If I clicked on a person column, I wouldn't see set as deadline, for example. But setting as deadline is a nice thing to do. When you set something as a deadline, you combine it with a status. And if you want a person column, which we both have, so it's a nice, easy choice. And then we have these little icons appearing next to the dates. And they just help us visually keep track of what's going on. Right here, I can see I've only got 2 days left. So that's one step in the right direction. It's not going to jump out and slap me in the face, but it's a nice little reminder. A better reminder, if you ask me, is to come here and add edit date reminders. And what happens when I click on this button is it almost opens like a back door into the automation center. Now I could build this out myself in the automation center, but especially as we're just getting started, doing it this way just makes it a little bit easier. You can see it's a pre-built template. And that means that they've already filled in quite a lot of this automation for us. So it's actually not that hard for us to build this automation. So when date arrives, we already have the date column. We need to decide when exactly we want this notification to arrive. Maybe, I don't know, 8:30 in the morning when I get to work. And we said we wanted it to be a little bit before the deadline, maybe 1 day before would be perfect. So let's say 1 day before the deadline at 8:30. Now, here's an interesting one. This is a condition. And if status, let's say, is not already done, I don't want to be reminded of stuff that I did in advance and are already down there in the done group. This is going to just remind me of tasks which aren't yet done. And then it can define how the notification should look. And this is a very cool field. These are all dynamic. So I can say things like, hi, person. Maybe I'll rename that column in a moment. I think owner is a nice name for that. It really implies ownership of the task. Hi, owner, and it will display, in this case, my name there. A task you were assigned. I'll click on the name of the task, and it will display the name of the task there. Is due tomorrow on date, and it will display the date. And its current status is status. Please ensure it's done on time. And then you can be as passive aggressive as you feel you need to with your colleagues in these notifications. Who are we going to notify? You can pick a specific person, or in this case, I want it to be dynamic as well. I want it to be whoever is notified, whoever is assigned that task in that person column. So my friends, we actually just created our very first automation. 1 day before that deadline arrives, I am going to get, in this case, notification within monday.com. It's going to give me a little red ping here. And you can choose how you receive notifications. If you're brand new to Monday, you can also receive an email every time a notification comes. If you're working at Monday every day, you don't want 100 emails a day also coming to you. You can just check it here. We could also, by the way, have integrated monday.com here through a different communication tool. Like if you're used to using Outlook or Slack or Gmail, you could set up an integration here. These are all integrations which have been built, again, for free. It might sound crazy, that you can use as many times as you want to set that notification to come to you outside of Monday. So I could say via Slack, for example, when the date arrives, notify in Slack in a specific channel. And this recipe looks almost exactly the same as the previous one. I just need to fill in a bit more detail and give my username and password for Slack, allowing the two softwares to speak to each other. But yeah, you can really pick and choose here. And I love the fact, I always describe it to friends that Monday's a bit like, if you think of a fast food restaurant, if you love the hamburger from McDonald's, but you love the French fries from Burger King, Monday kind of allows you to have your Burger King burger and get your French fries from McDonald's through the integration center. And it's no problem to be able to do it like that. So I hope that analogy works for people. Okay, how are we doing? We're about halfway through the webinar. And what I might do at this point is just pause and check in with Laura and see if there are any interesting questions in the Q&A that I should answer live, and check how the chat is going in general, because I haven't taken a look down there since we began.
Yeah, there was a good one about docs and if there's any kind of like pre-built templates within docs. Maybe you can show us kind of how dynamic those are as well.
Sure. So first thing I'll say about docs, yes, of course, there are tons of different templates here. Let's take an interesting one to look at. Might be relevant. Well, brainstorming Monday work doc. Let's take a look at this one. So yeah, first thing I'd say is that there are all these templates that have already been built, but you can also create your own templates. So, if you are, what's a good example? Let's say you write a lot of grant letters of intent. You have maybe 100 grants you're applying to every year, and your letter of intent needs to be unique, but it's going to have the same core. The base will be the same every time. You can create a doc, save it as a template, and then each time you need to start a new letter of intent, it can begin as this kind of core template. So yeah, this is a good one. You can see they've added a nice background image. They've added some cool, emojis. They've inserted a group, a board. They've got a checklist here. So yeah, this is a perfectly nice idea for ways you can use. And they've also connected it here to the group. I'm sorry, for the board. The group is this, the board is this. I know that every project management software has different terminology. So this is the group, overall is the board. So they've connected it here where you can actually vote on different ideas. This is a cool feature. So I can say that I liked idea 2 the best, others can do the same. So yeah, there's lots of fun you can have there playing through the templates in docs as well as in boards. Great.
Couple of questions in the chat. Alexandra, I don't know if you could see them.
Yeah, let's take a look in the chat as well. Again, if possible, my friends, the best place for questions is the Q&A, but I'm happy to take a look at the chat. Okay, Julius, the most recent question. Can viewers be part of a group? So a group in Monday is this thing. So yeah, the viewer would be able to see this, but maybe what you're referring to is a team. So like here, I've got confirming the catering company. I can add here a team. Now what a team is in my little avatar up here in the top right-hand corner, I can come down and not change the theme. Can you close, please? And I can create teams. Basically, I can put people together if I'm assigning them all the time at the same place. Like, for example, the fundraising team, right? Me and Sarah, we're working together all the time. So I've combined us together. People can be in multiple teams. It's no problem. Guests and viewers can be in teams. That's no problem. So you can have a fundraising team, a management team, an IT team, and it's basically just saving you the case of tagging each individual person one by one. Now, maybe that's a good opportunity to kind of diverge and talk a little bit about guests, because you mentioned guests in the question, but I never fully finished what I was going to say about guests. When we created this board, it asked us whether it should be private or shareable. Now, private's pretty self-explanatory. You can invite different individual people to it, and other than that, they won't see it. But shareable is interesting. You can see here now it's got this little icon. Basically, shareable means I can now invite guests to this board. Now, a guest just like a viewer, is free and unlimited, but a guest, unlike a viewer, can make changes. But guests are only invited to the specific board or boards, you can invite them to more than one thing, that you give them access to. So for example, I've made this board shareable. Maybe I want the catering company, external, I'm not gonna, give them one of my 10 free seats or, spend my hard-earned budget, even if I get a 70% discount on giving the catering company a seat. Instead, I'm not going to assign the fundraising team here. I'm going to invite, and you see now this panel wouldn't have been here earlier. We would have only seen this one to invite internal people. But now I have the option to invite external people, guests from outside. And I can, put in here, what was his name? His name was John at cateringcompany.com. I can invite him as a guest. John will then be able to work just like anyone else on this specific board. You'll see everything here. We can tag him, he can communicate, but he won't be able to see our fundraising plan. He won't be able to add his own boards. All that kind of stuff is restricted. Now, to stress that, guests are free and unlimited. They can do everything which anyone else can do, only on a specific board. Viewers, however, are the same, free and unlimited. They can see everything, but they can't actually be tagged. They can't engage with stuff the way a regular user or a guest can. So thanks for that question. Really good one. Okay, Kevin has a good question. How do we transition our regular business plan into one suited for a nonprofit account? So if you're already paying on Monday.com, if you've already got a free trial, if you're brand new, it really doesn't matter. The process is the same for everyone. And I'll go through the process at the end of the session. You need to have an account. So if you're brand new, open one using the link that the TechSoup folks are providing. If you've already got an account, amazing. And then you basically just need to fill out a form. It's really simple, takes 5 minutes. I'll show you in just a moment where you can apply to join the nonprofit program. And even if you're already paying, if you're eligible, you're eligible. We can transfer you over to the nonprofit. Okay, so I think that's just about it. Are there any more questions there unanswered? Thanks, Laura. You're doing a great job. Cool, I can answer that one live from Adrian. How many guests can you get for the nonprofit program? Again, unlimited. There is no limit to the guests. So happy to answer that one for you, Adrian. So I'm going to continue now with the event planning and explaining what comes next. So another important feature for tracking all these different things will be our expenses. So I'm going to add here a number column to track both the expected budget and the actual budget. So this is how you add new columns in Monday. And you can see when I click on the plus here, there's tons of different column types, but the numbers one is nice and simple. This is where we can, as the name number would suggest, we can enter in how much we expect to pay for Leonardo DiCaprio's fee. Maybe I'll change that to actual expense. Leo charged a lot more than we thought he would. But it's okay. We're a big nonprofit. We had a great fundraising campaign, thanks in a small part to Monday.com. So we can fork out the big bucks for Leo. He brought in the big donuts. Now you'll notice that at the moment, all I see here are the digits, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great because it means it's a pure number column. And it means that the number column can be used in formulas and dashboards and all sorts of different things. Sometimes people get into the trap of adding a text column. Let me just show you what I mean. And, maybe they start entering things like US $100, 000, That looks fine, but this is no longer recognized as a numeric value. So I don't recommend doing that. Instead, use a number column. And then by clicking down here where it's summarizing them, you can add in a unit. For example, if we're working in dollars, we can do that very easily. But you can obviously change your currency with a click of a button if yours isn't listed. You had someone from Ghana, shout out to Ghana. You can put in the text if you want to, or paste in a code, all good. So that's the very straightforward way of doing expenses. I'll show you in a moment how we can kind of be a bit more complex and add reports there. Cool, so that's a nice little start. We've got an event planner coming along nicely. The next step, I think, is going to be to register our participants. And to do that, I'm going to add a form. Forms are one of my favorite features in Monday. Just like pretty much everything else on the nonprofit plan, these are free and unlimited. There are so many cool things you can use these forms for. If anyone's familiar with Jotform or Google Forms, they're fairly similar, but the big advantage is that the answers from these forms will come straight into your monday.com account, which is just amazing because then you can start working with the answers immediately. So let's build out this form together. I clicked on Edit Form, and you can see, just like with most things, it's pretty customizable. We can add a welcome page if you want to. You can add your own logo. Let's just do event registration form for now. Do you require a parking permit? Nice simple question for kicking us off. Yes or no. This is a single select question. Many people can only select one of the two predetermined options. But one of the nice features in the Monday forms is that we can include conditions. So for example, if they say yes, then we can add another question, which would be perhaps a plain text question, short text question. What is your registration? Registration number, right? I don't know, maybe you need their license plate for some reason. Just an example. We can ask more, obviously, questions like, what is your name? What is your email address? There are column types for this as well. And you can imagine there's a lot of flexibility here, all the questions that you might want to ask. Maybe I'll show you some more of the features rather than just adding endless questions, because the questions themselves are quite straightforward. A couple of nice features here. You can pre-fill a value. So if you expect people are going to answer one way, you can give them the answer already. You can make a question required. Now the little red asterisk has appeared. They won't be able to submit the form without giving an answer here. You can, like we saw before, give them the option to answer questions that you've already provided the options for. So for example, we can do now multi-select. Do you have any dietary restrictions? Right, so now I'm going to give them the options. And they can pick this time more than one option, right? In the first option here, it had to be one or the other. In the settings option here, we're right at the very top now, there's a lot more kind of fundamental settings. If you're concerned about security, don't want the bots to start spamming you, you can add a reCAPTCHA challenge. Check how many people are able to recognize motorbikes in a crowd of people in Vietnam or something. This one and this one might be really relevant for your event planning. Setting a response limit. So maybe you have a limited number of people who can fit into the town hall. Maybe we are only allowed to receive 1,500 responses. Once we've done that, I want this form to close. Or maybe you want to add a closing date. I don't want anyone to register up until the day before because I need to know the numbers to get the food ready. So the event is the 31st of July. So on the 30th of July, the form is going to close, right? You can have both of these if you want to. How do we share this form is an interesting question. So if I return to the form itself that we've started building here and click on this button, you'll see there are a lot of different options for sharing the form. The most basic is just to get a long, unique link like this. But you can, if you need to share that in, I don't know if you have all of your potential donors in like a WhatsApp group or a Facebook community, I'm not sure. You can shorten it to make it a little bit more accessible. See, now that's just a bit easier on the eye. But you can even do more creative things than that. If I come to this little drop-down triangle, you are able, for example, to embed this form directly in your website. And as we saw earlier, you can add your logo. We didn't show this, but you can change the font and the color and the layout. So if it's embedded in your website, it'll look and feel like your organization's form. And you can remove the branding of Monday.com as well. If you want it to be totally clean, you can absolutely do that. So you can put that actually inside your website, and you don't need to be a computer coder or programmer to do that. You just copy this and stick it in there. My favorite way of sharing the form is using the QR code. Every form at Monday.com comes with its own unique free QR code. How many times can I say the word free in this webinar? But yeah, even this is free. If anyone has a phone in their pocket, maybe you're attending another event and you can get this up on the screen as you're finishing a lecture, or I don't know, maybe you work in a soup kitchen or a community event center or a church hall. You can have this on the board. Hey, scan this to register for upcoming fundraising gala. People can even get really creative and print these out, stick them around the neighborhood. Whatever you want to do, you can use these QR codes in a lot of very fun, creative ways. And no matter where people access the form, they're going to fill it out and the answers will appear here. So what I think we should do now is talk about what happens once those answers have arrived. So the first thing I want to do is send a confirmation email to all the people who've responded, saying, yep, we received your application. Thank you, your place is confirmed. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the automation center. Now, previously, we took that little shortcut, that gave us this template. This time, although you can see tons of different automation templates that we could use, I'm just going to build an automation from scratch. Just to show you, again, how easy it is, right? So the first thing I'm going to say is define the trigger. Every automation is like this in Monday.com. The first part, something has to happen, known as the trigger. And then we have the action that takes place as a result. So in our case, we want this to be when someone fills out the form. Now, as soon as someone fills out the form, what happens? A new item is created on this board. So this is the one that we will choose. Whenever a new item is created, then what are we going to have it do? I work with Gmail. You can also use Outlook. I'm going to use which Gmail account. Here are 3 that I've already set up. If it's the first time that you're setting one up, you'll just need to put in your username and password, give it permission, but it's a very simple process. Once it's done once, you're just picking it from this menu. And I want to send an email. I can write whatever I want here. Your place is confirmed. And again, we have dynamic fields. So I can say things like, hi. Actually, I didn't ask them their name yet, did I? So I'd need to do that. Your place in our fundraising gala is blah, 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 blah. Won't go into too much detail there, but again, you can pull information from this board. And who are we going to be emailing? This time, I definitely want it to be dynamic. I want it to pull the information from the response that they gave in the form. So now you can see how everything kind of starts to come together. They gave me their answer in the email question. I'm going to use the integration with Gmail to send that confirmation. And we're really cooking with gas now, right? Think about how much time this would save. It's also such a good user experience. So fill out the form and boom, automatically, probably a minute later, they've already got the basic details in their inbox just to remind them. And then, of course, you can send another reminder a week before, or a day before, an hour before, whatever you want to do. Once you've got that data, the world is your oyster, my friends. But this even is just scratching the surface. As I said in our original agenda, what I really want to do with these people, ultimately, why am I hosting a fundraising gala? Because I hope they're going to turn into nice donors. And maybe you're managing your donors outside of Monday.com. Maybe you're managing them in here already. And if you're managing them in Monday, let's have all the people who register for this event be sent to that donor management solution already, automatically. Why not? And then I can start nurturing them. Maybe even after the event, we can start to email them or invite them to a meeting or something to encourage them to learn more about our organization, understand the impact we're having, and open up their wallets. So let's take a look at a potential donor management solution. This time I am going to cheat a little bit. I am going to get this one from the template center just because this session isn't really focusing on the donor management piece. By the way, if anyone is interested in learning more about donor management on monday.com, we also offer free courses for nonprofits. So once you've already signed up, you can join me for 2-part courses on managing donors, or on managing grants, or on volunteers. There's all sorts of different courses that I'm offering. So yeah, keep that in mind if you do want to sign up for more stuff. There's a lot of other resources, all for free, available for you. I'm just going to give this a unique name so I can identify it. 26 March, because I've downloaded this template probably 1,000 times. So what I want to have happen, I'll rename this one too. What I want to have happen is as soon as somebody fills out that form, I want it to send them an email. But I also want other things to happen as well. So I can simply click on the plus here and add another action to it. And the action that I want to add is to create a new item in that other board. Now, if I clicked on this one, it would just create another item in this specific board that I'm already working in. And this would create a new item in that other board. But to really unlock the potential of everything we're doing here, we could also go for this option. Create an item in the board and connect the 2 items together as well, so that if anything changes in one, I'll be able to see that change in the other. And that's great because you do want to avoid, wherever possible, having duplicate information. And you might have people registering who are already in your donor board. So being able to see that would be quite convenient. So let's connect these 2 boards. First of all, I'm going to connect my registration form to my donors form by adding a new column. Just like we've added other columns in the past today, there is a column called Connect Board column. And here I can choose a board or boards to connect to. Top of the list is the most recently used board, Donors 2026 of March. And I can also add more boards if I want to, right? Maybe there are other places I want to send these items. That's not a problem. You can connect multiple boards on the same Connect Board column. And one last thing to note before we click on this big blue button is whether we want it to be a 2-way connection. A 1-way connection just means we'd only be able to see the connection here. We wouldn't know that there was a connection over there, but it's more of a technical thing. It doesn't really worry new users too much. I would say if you're ever unsure, check the box. You can always go from 2 to 1. You can't go from 1 to 2, but maybe I'll leave that out because it does get a little bit technical. It's also offering me to create now a mirror column. Mirror columns and Connect Board columns do go closely together, but I'll leave that for now. And now we do have a Connect Board column between both boards. And because I made it a 2-way connection, you should see a new column here that has appeared. Amazing. So now let's return to our form and add that automation. So now I'm going to say create item in board and connect boards. I need to pick the board first of all. The Donors 26th of March board is the one. Here I can decide where I want it to be displayed. Again, we have a 2-way connection, but I'd like it to be in both boards. Here is the name of the Connect Board column that we just created. And then I can define how the item should look. Like what should I take from my registration form and where should I put it in that other board? Now, we actually didn't ever ask their name, which is a bit of a mistake. We only have their email address for now. So I'll put that in there. Maybe I will just put a field and name because it's a bit strange otherwise. Maybe I'll just put the board name just to give us something to display there. Basically, any field you have in your new board, as long as you've got data from it, you can match it over. You're just choosing here from all of the data that you have in the current board to go into, on the left-hand side here, all of the columns that exist on the new board. So I know that part is a little bit more complex. This is not really like something I'd usually show brand new beginners, but I just wanted to show you the potential awaiting for you. Even though we've only just got started and we built all of the stuff from scratch, let's fill out that form now and take a look at how things move around automatically. We don't require a permit. This is my email address. And I'm a vegan and I'm gluten-free. Why not? And I click on submit. So now it's going to create a new item for me. Perfect. And it's going to send an automatic reminder to this address. I should get an email coming in a moment. And it should create a new item in my donors board. Let's see if it has. Maybe we need to be a little patient. It should create a new item up here in my donors board and connect it back to that registration event. So we can hold tight there and watch as that hopefully loads. Now, as that's loading, I hope, my friends, I did have one more thing I really wanted to show you, but I also want to make sure we give a time for all of your questions. So I'm going to return now to Laura and the Q&A and see if there's anything else you would recommend we discuss live, Laura.
Yeah, we have been getting quite a few questions about accepting payments in forms, if that's currently possible. So like, yeah, submitting a payment in the form directly and then follow up with that. How about like adding a Square link to the form and or sending something out after? So what could that look like?
Great. So the short answer, like in one word, no, you cannot make payments on monday.com. It is one of the limitations with the platform. However, there are options that we can use to get around this limitation. As we said, Monday connects or integrates with other apps. So there are apps here in this list of, free different softwares that we've already built, which already have these integrations available. So one that definitely comes to mind right away is Stripe. I don't know if anyone uses Stripe already, but you can create a Stripe account, send your donors there to actually make your donations or make their donations, and then you can add an automation like this one. And then, again, it follows the same logic of any of those other automations that we just saw. So when a charge event occurs in Stripe, and again, you'd need to give your username and password so it knows which account we're talking about, create an item in Monday. And in the donor management solution over here, we have a separate board for tracking all of the donations. Another important thing to say is that as well as the integration center, which are all free and built by Monday, there is also another option, which is the app marketplace, right? So all of these are organic, ones that are loading, but we also have an open API, meaning smart people who know how to build apps can make a connection between their software and Monday. Why that's taking so long to load, but you can open the app marketplace here as well. And there are some donation processing apps who've already made free integrations with Monday. One that I love is GiveButter. I don't know if you all know GiveButter. Maybe you're already working with them. GiveButter, not all of the apps are free. It's important to say. Some of them have trial periods or, nonprofit plans in some cases. GiveButter offered this app for free. So you can download this, add it to your solution, use GiveButter as the place where the donation is being processed. And each time a donation is processed, it comes into your account, and your Monday account, which is very cool. You can also search for other names. There's hundreds and hundreds of software out there. So check it out. Maybe there is an integration here. And if not, you still have two options. The first is pretty intense, but it could work. You are always able to, build your own integration or pay someone to build your own integration. You can make an app if it's something that's really serious for you. Or more likely is that you use, a third-party integrator, something like Zapier or Make. I think they changed their name. Anyway, those other companies, external companies, but what they do is they connect to software. So if you're really in love with a specific donation processing software, amazing. You want to keep using them, and you want the information to arrive on Monday once it's processed, great. You can use something like Zapier to have that data appear on Monday, which is really cool. Okay, now I do apologize because I know there was a second part of the question there. But what I want to do for my final few minutes is to summarize how you can actually get all this stuff, because I know we've given a lot of very technical information here. I haven't even got into the dashboarding yet, which is where you build reports on Monday. So you can track the statuses of different tasks and see how your fundraising goals are tracking in real life time. But I think the most important thing that we finish on is explaining very clearly how you can actually get started and join us on this great nonprofit program. So really, it's a two-step process. The first step, create your account. Like we said, it's free to do that for everyone. Maybe I didn't say this actually. It's free to do that for everyone for 2 weeks. Let me be clear. Everyone in the world gets a 2-week free trial. After that, most people have to start paying. To create your account, you should click on the link that the TechSoup folks are providing. I've seen it being put in the chat several times. And once you've created your account, you get 2 weeks to play around with it. But at any point, you are more than welcome to come here to this page, monday.com/nonprofits/eligibility. Very easy to remember. And you can check out our eligibility guidelines. You can see if you think your nonprofit would be eligible for this great plan. I suspect and really hope that everyone on today's call will be eligible. There are a few restrictions. We don't support organizations that are owned by governments or engaging in hate speech, but you can read the criteria here. And even if you're not sure if you're eligible or not, I recommend you click on this button. This is the magic button, which will open up, again, a very simple form, both opening your account and asking to have it join the nonprofit program. Both those processes take 5 minutes. In this form, we need to know who you are, we need to know what your nonprofit is, and we need to know your monday.com account. That's it. And if we find you eligible, a day or two later, behind the scenes, we'll flip you over onto that nonprofit plan, giving you 10 free seats and 70% discount off other seats. That's on all of the core monday.com programs. So it's actually not 10 free seats. It's actually 10 free seats on each one of our different products, which is very cool. And yeah, if you need to upgrade to the very, very top level, which is enterprise, you can also do that with a nice 33% discount. Okay. Think that's everything I needed to say about opening your account. Maybe the final thing I'll say is, I know it sometimes sounds too good to be true, but we, like I said, have almost 22,000 nonprofits who are working with us every day. If you want to ask questions of them, we have an online community on Facebook, which you're welcome to join. You can ask them if it's worth it, get the word from the horse's mouth. And we have, I think 250,000 paying customers. So, we have a good amount of backing behind us, and that's how we're able to offer this program so generously to nonprofits. So take advantage of it. It's really great. I know the TechSoup team are using it themselves, and we were just talking about how they like it as well. And I hope to see you all again, in future sessions, because we are offering other stuff once you're in the program to help nonprofits get started. So I think I'll probably wrap things up there, my friends. From me, it's been great having you all here. I really do appreciate the folks from TechSoup for hosting us, and for you all for attending. Thank you so much, Laura, for working solidly in the chat. I don't know how many questions you've answered, but I've never seen anyone type so quickly. Are there any final words or maybe last question before we have to wrap things up, Laura, that we could maybe cover before we go?
I had a really good question about what's included so basically, if you have the nonprofit plan, do you also have access to CRM, service, things like that?
Yeah, so maybe I should have made that more transparently clear. When I said the other Monday products, there are actually 4 Monday products. The CRM is one of the products that is included for free for nonprofits. So you get 10 users for free on the CRM. Monday Service is another product designed to have tickets come in, you process them, solve them, resolve them. That's another product. You get 10 users for free on that. Dev is designed for developers, as the name would suggest. You get 10 users for free on that. And what we worked on today was work management. That's the name of what monday.com always used to be before they launched these different products. And yes, you get 10 free seats for that as well. So 10 seats for free on each of those 4 core products. Pretty cool deal. Pretty cool deal. Amazing. So my friends, once again, thank you very, very much, everyone. And I hope to see you again in a future session. Click on those links that the TechSoup folks are providing, and have a wonderful rest of the day wherever in the world you may be. Keep up the amazing work you're doing in your communities. Bye-bye.